we talk about relationships. Why? Because we saw in our identity shift how powerful they are and how important they can be in helping us throughout our transformation, or limiting us in being able to execute it. I have to say that amongst you guys, there are an inspiration for me in first person, because what is happening is that who really finished an identity shift, it's already talking about what they lived, and so is inspiration for someone else that will start their identity shift thanks to looking up at what you did. So keep being the inspiration you've become. Absolutely, you're very valuable into this process for other people that are starting it. So, talking about relationships, I want to take it in a transversal way. What does it mean? I love the fact that everything that is linked to be skills, soft skills is transversal. What means? That it makes a big part of who we are as a person, and we can use exactly the same concepts in many different fields. It's exactly the same as we saw in the identity shift through transform action as it is in the relationship area. So this is to explain that most of the examples I will do are maybe based in an environment where we see a couple acting, but they are transversal in the sense that you can apply exactly the same to all your relationship. And it's such a strong point to have some principles that are applicable in any area you need. It's just so easier. So the first thing I like to say about relationship, we need to understand, for making them work, we need to understand what is our place, what is our role in a relationship, who we are in that environment, in that context. What's the scope of that relationship to exist? What's the frequency in which you are working with that person? And again, what is your role in the proper sense? Like, there are relationships in which we are leaders, there are others in which we are followers, and it doesn't really matter where we are in the hierarchy. It just matters that it works for a good, profound link and, to develop with the person we're talking about. So for doing this work, that is, again, something very introspective, there might be the need to shift, switch, and swap some paradigms. There are the limiting beliefs we already spoken about in length. There is a very interesting thing that is based on quantum physics, and it says that the human being, it's a vital form continuously shaping and evolving. What this means is that we are able to build something better, or we will go down on a destroying curve. The human being cannot be static. We don't have this possibility, because if we keep raising, we go up. But if we stop pushing, we go down. There is no condition such as, okay, I get there and I stay there. That's the reason you need an identity shift, and not only to pursue a single goal, to emulate for once. Because if you get there without having built first your self-image and pushing up for a better version of yourself, you're going to come down again. And in relationship in particular, this is so true. We need to build up relationships to avoid that they auto-destroy themselves, they self-destroy themselves. And there is a thing that many of us do. We always think yes or no, build or destroy, which in this case is correct, and black and white. Relationships are a bit different. There must be a gray area in the middle that give you some chances to be flexible. This is the reason for which I did the content we are going through together exactly on this topic, the first one. Because in relationship, the gray area must exist. What does it mean? then even if we are yes and no, black and white, the gray area in relationship is the one of forgiveness, is the one of forgetting things when it's comfortable for a big purpose to keep existing, is to get over some past discrepancy and misunderstandings and try to see what's the big goal of that relationship. One thing that is very common is that when we receive a behavior, we are the receiver of a behavior for which we get just disappointed. If this behavior comes from someone that we're not really interested in, it's like, well, whatever, I don't even know that person. He said that about me, who cares? But if it comes from someone that you really love, that's drama moment. And with reason, because we really put all these focus in developing with the other person that, made by them has an exact significance that it really not only offend you, but hurt you. And think about the other side. It's the same when you do something like that to someone that you really love, rather than someone that is just an acquaintance. The acquaintance will say, who cares? But the loved one will feel beaten. And it's just something they don't deserve. There are sometimes occasions in which we just must reduce, calm down the circumstances, think of what is objectively, and remind ourselves that we have no time to waste for things like that. There is no time to stay offended. There is no time to keep bothering the people that are part of your project and are pushing with you and as much of you, if not more than you, to go somewhere, to go toward a common goal. For example, I want to bring on my past because I was the example of what not to do. I was perfect by my point of view. And I was the one who couldn't be contradicted. And I was the one that understood everything. And the other person, today is my husband, by the way, he was the one always to reprimand because he couldn't do anything right and da. Well, guys, there is a thing that we can't forget. And is what we were just talking about. How bad is when this attitude is from someone we love. And how bad is for the person we love to receive it from us. When a person that is part of your intimate circle do something that is against you, but not with the purpose of hurting you, it's just, misunderstandings. What you feel it like? You feel it like a stab in the back, like resentment, like vengeance. And they feel the same when you do it. But many times, it's just us building up big drama when it's all in our head. For example, when we first started living together, my husband did so many things. They were lovely embarrassing. Classic ones: toothpaste, not making the bed, leaving the flip-flops around. And for me, it was kind of a personal thing that I was like, he does it with the purpose of hurting me. No, he didn't even care. He didn't even realize he was doing those things. So the reality is, just compare what's the importance of some gesture for you and for the other guy. And why we build so much drama and proper wars, fights, based on tantrums in our home, in the place that we should feel protected. Because the war, guys, the real war, is not inside. your couple, your relationship. It's outside there. It's not with your partner. It's against all the circumstances in life that go against us to stop us to pursue our goals. So just store the energy, focus on a goal that can be and must be preferably common, no matter what. I'll explain you briefly why. 100% is what we need, measured in effort, to get to our goal. What happens? You start by yourself, you do 20%, 30%, 40%, 60%, and you get to 100 and you're dying. You're like, oh my God, I'm so tired. And the snapback effect will verify that you pull, and boom, the elastic band comes back strong, slapping you on the face. What happens when we have a common goal? Completely different. Completely different. What happens is you do 50, I do 50, and together with half of the effort, we get to 100. And we're not as pulled over our threshold to be dying and not to be able to stay in that condition. That's something that we really suffer about. Instead, if we have a common goal, everything gets easier. In relationship, there is something that is very important, that is discipline. Discipline in respecting what the scope of your relationship, that mostly could be happiness, in going for the best future we can build, for example, in staying above the limits of the patience of the other person, not to have all these occasions to fight, not to have all these occasions to make big drama. Discipline and a clear purpose, a definitive goal, because there is no time for distractions. If you have time for being distracted by little things and the socks left there and the door that is not closed properly, etc., it means that you don't have enough problems. You should have bigger problems. And how to create new problems? With bigger goals. So that's the reason for which I really underline the fact that I want that your focus must stay on the future as our final target is that your relationship will win over everything and anything. Just leaving aside things that have no importance. When people tell me, I would like to go back to how it was, just know it's a blessing that you evolved. Stay out from the damn past. Some of you want the person that stays next to you, they are the same of 10 years ago. What are you talking about? You're not the same of 10 minutes ago. How can the other person be like he was 10 years ago? This is one of the few cases in which the word impossible exists. Because you want that person to downgrade and subtract their experience from their being. There is this gray area that we need to remember about. The human being, as we said, it can't stay static and still on a level. It's a vital shaping form. So, in all our relationship, as we evolve as humans, there will be an evolution. It's not something I invented. If we go back, cited Darwin. We have no time to play in it small. There is your dream and there is your big goal. Why we should waste the time to think small when the effort, and I'm famous to go over this concept very, 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 very often, the concept of having the best performance is the same if we think about competing or dominating. I'll explain better. You want to compete in a thing for a goal, and you think, okay, for this, I need to do the best 80% I can. Because, I feel competitive at that level. Nice. What's the difference with getting and shooting for 100%? That's domination. And the effort, again, is the same. It's just about doing your best in that discipline. But you know that if your goal is to be competitive, you will stop at 80%. You wouldn't go for 100 because it's too difficult. No, it's exactly the same that you did up to now. With a bit more of personal effort and personal dedication. But dominating makes your life easier. And to have the focus to dominate, you don't have other time to waste around. What about stealing time in our relationships? How many times I see people that force their half to do things they don't like, to stay together in occasions that is not required. Why he should come with you to the salon and why you should go with him to the park when he goes playing football. It's a waste of time for both of you. Your power is superior only if you work together. And working toward a project, it can also verify when you guys are not holding hand in hand. You can be productive in your own stuff and put your outcomes, the outcome of your efforts together to have the maximum result. It's teamwork, but teamwork is not physically teaming up in the same place doing the same thing, because you will do the work of one person in two of you, because one is watching the other. Rather than if each of you gets into what is interesting and productive for herself or himself, your relationship will become abruptly fun. You will have so many things to talk about. You will have so many occasions to compare your points of view on each other's stuff. And it will be just fun because you will feel fulfilled by the actions that you are literally living day by day. There is so much power in working as a team. Two people that fight together for the same goal. It's one of the things that is most important in life. Also because we not only want to preserve our relationship, we also want to avoid to lose them. And in the past, there is nothing you can grab and hold, because that's the past is already gone. Instead, what you need is a powerful relationship that day by day explode when your strength and his or her strength and power just collide and create this explosive bomb that can only win above everything. Figure this out and go get it, and you will see what's the boost that your goals will have. What is your scope? Have you ever asked that yourself? What's your common scope as a couple? And what is your scope personal in that relationship? What's your role? Do you have it? And do you talk about this thing? But above all, do you know what the other person wants? It's so much vital to know that. Because if you don't know where he's going or she's going, you could drive in the opposite direction without knowing it. Can you imagine? It's like he is doing his best to amass income to go living in your dream place. And you are spending the most you can because you want to have a collection of limited edition bags. These two things can go together. It's like two trains. One is doing New York, Miami by train. Nice. And the other is doing Miami, New York. So what happened is that if they go on parallel ways, they will never cross. They just go next to each other. And when the crossing point gets closer, they just go boom. Hello, we're parallel. We're not crossing each other. We're not smashing in front of each other because we're driving a different direction. And if you put 100% in your drive and he put 100% in his drive, you guys go also faster. So it's very difficult to understand what the other person is doing. And it can be that you think that they are against you when they're not. They just don't know what you guys want. It must be, tough to build a lasting relationship. But it's so empowering when you can do it. Living out the shame, living out tantrums, and having a lot of discipline. Discipline is also to know how to shut up and not to attack. Because if you think about it, there are those occasions when he comes home after so many hours and he gets pissed off about where you put a plate or whatever. And you are tired after those many hours. And you are like, you know what? I'm gonna beat the shit out of you now because you dare to say about that plate after all the hours I did. There are some occasions like this where we need to be wise. Breathe. Envision in our head what's the big goal of that person living life with us. Why we're together, what are our beliefs, what's our ethic and principle on which our family is based. That will give you a good reason not to attack back immediately, like a dog. In my journey, there is this all, and in an infinite number of examples. But what we figured out is to never give up. And to try to put always our priorities, our dream life that we were building over these small things. This is the way to reach seniority in a couple, in a relationship. And, have maybe something that behavior-wise goes into that gray area, but we're happy that stay there in the middle and we don't make a big deal on it. For having in exchange all the amazing life that we live in exactly with the person we chose. The focus must be on your journey. This is another one of the reasons for which I love people that start my transformation and identity shift, because they are so focused on their journey, they don't have time to bother the world around us and around them. It's to have your own goal. It's a strong help in, keeping for you maybe things that are superficial, there are ancillaries, that are too much to be out and loud. And all the anger that I have, the frustration for my own limits because I'm not my best version yet, they need to be funneled toward that goal. Because that goal requires energy. Anything it is. You must be a complete person that if the world around you finishes, you are able to carry through the weight of your dream. And then when another as much as complete person comes into your life, that will be ecstasy, that will be heaven. But you need to deserve a person of that caliber, of that level. If you are someone that is whining and moaning all time, I wouldn't say that you will attract someone very different than you. And it's all discipline. It's all discipline for your head. What I described is something that many of you have lived. How many times I saw husbands at the salon waiting for her to finish her hair. How many times I saw wives at the football play waiting for the game to finish. It's just something that person don't deserve. We are stealing their time. To have two independent words is the right choice. And it's like the sun and the moon. They are completely independent, but they don't exist without each other. Above all, about the things that I love or he loves, there is no need that the other person has exactly your same interests. There is the need that he or she likes that I like it. That's something relevant instead. Because if you don't like what my hobby is, we have a problem, because I will spend some dedicated time into that. But if you like the fact that I'm happy and you are not participating, I'll survive. There are no small games that can make me forget what the meaning of the relationship with the person I've chosen for life. And you know when it ends? You know when the headache ends? You know when the fights end? When you decided. When you decided that it ends. And you stop forcing your partner into something that is not for him or for her. Now, I also do coaching. And there are many things that are a bit ridiculous between those that I hear. For example, I respect what he likes and the style and the lifestyle he wants to have. But of course, why he didn't say he wasn't coming exactly at the dinner that I planned with my friends and with their husband, etc. And I'm like, hold on a second. You said that you're happy with whatever he wants to do. And then in the exact same sentence, you're complaining about the fact that he didn't come to a dinner, which is opposite of what you meant. So we have a problem here, that you say something and you are practicing something else. So the poor guy that is next to you just need to imagine between the two what's the real meaning of your words or actions. What is gonna be? Life is already difficult. We cannot waste time for things like he needs to understand what I wanted to say without me telling him. It's a headache. What you really think to remember is what this guy gives me. What can I ask more to someone that has a common dream that we are manifesting and bringing to life together? That wake up every morning telling me and reassuring me that life is wonderful because we are doing it together. To move the flip-flops from the corner? Come on, wouldn't that be something that you would do with pleasure for someone that you love? Is it that difficult? Because sometimes we think that it's difficult, but we don't realize how many things the other person does for us when we are annoying to them for other things. Because each of us has a different love language, for example. And there are moments in which we think that the other person is not giving us anything, but they are giving us 100%. How this is possible, for example? I will give you some good explanation now. There are, and I'm into reading these things, so my research about this hasn't finished yet, but there are some good insights I want to, start getting out. There are several love languages, as there are several spoken languages in the world. For example, between these love languages, there are three that I remember very well. That is the vocal, so it's about saying and hearing things. The visual, that is about your mind and developing this vision of your future. And then there is the physical one, when we get to touch each other. And then there is also the materialistic one. I can't remember what's the precise name, but it's something like that. When we like to receive gifts, that they are a demonstration of affection for us. And, others. What happens if our husband or wife puts all his effort in telling us, you are the best, you can do it, and and you are unique, you work so hard. But our love language is another one, is the one of touches and hugs and just feeling of reassurance through the physical contact. That we will think he's not doing anything. And what if he is a verbal guy, as we are putting for this example, and you go there and hug him, and you think you're doing all your best to support him, he will be like, get the fuck out. It's just not the 100% that he meant. So we talk into different languages. And it's like to say I love you in Arabic to someone that speaks Spanish. They don't understand. We need to be careful and have the time and the willingness to speak about what is our love language and understand how we can speak a bit more of the other person love language. The energy, once you've done that, will be stored for the true enemy. Because you won't need any energy anymore to understand your sweet other half. Because everything will be clear. And this will be a moment of pride. I'm 100% sure that this will be a moment of pride. There is nothing that is exchangeable with a big dream and goal in common. Like, that's the thing that is most valuable on planet Earth. It's super difficult to have that discipline and to keep building a dream. But the first step that we need to do is to stop being ridiculous. What about jealousy? When people tell me, how can you not be jealous? I don't have damn time for jealousy. I also lived some time of my relationship with distance. And you know what? When you have distance between two people, if you have the time to check on each other, it means you're not busy enough. Because literally to check on each other is a separate job. It's a work that needs a person to be assigned to it. So if you do it yourself and you have all this time to be jealous, I'm sorry, but you're not busy enough with yourself. There are many things that can cause misunderstandings and mostly can come from third parties, things that have been said, seen, described, reported. There is only one solution, that is to leave that negative energy outside from your life, And if it comes from social media, don't even read it. Just delete and block. Try to live an easier life. Because if you give in to jealousy, after you have found the man who you really trust and you are convinced that you are building the dream life with him, I would review the choice. I would review the choice. Or I would review what kind of person you are. What's your standard? And based on your standard, why you literally live life with that person. There are things that you don't know why happened or why you did them. And in years, you will learn through failure, questions, a lot of conversations, and success. You will learn kind of in a curve. And you will learn a bit, and then you'll understand that you have a new problem, to understand something else, and that's the way the human being develop. I am happy when people comes to me and ask me, how is this person related to build my dream and to go for my goal? What's my reason of including them in my life and my choices? I'm happy when people ask things like that, because it means that they really value their relationship and they want to work to give this relationship more meaning and to go deeper into things that are beneficial for both. And if you really have huge projects that, as we said, take away part of your time, you will have no time to feel at an inferior level or to have all these dramas in your head. There are people that are just the perfect supporters, but they feel resentment because they are inferior to the alpha. Stop there. There will be a relationship where you are a follower. There will be a relationship where you are a leader. It can be that in your couple you're just a follower, and I'm not saying just in a reductive way. It's because without that support, the person you are supporting can't go anywhere. I am happy to be behind him and be ready to support him if he falls back. Because everyone likes to be, normal. Normal is something I'm really scared of. Because it's all normal until everything goes in a normal way. But normal, it's very dangerous, extremely dangerous, when any strong unforeseen circumstance just gets into your world and crushes you. Because that's a normal thing. Crisis, it's a normal thing. But you spent the time to be as normal as you could, so you didn't build the defenses to face normal crisis status. It's a point on which I invite you to reflect. Normal things happen to normal people that did normal actions and wasted the time to build the barriers for being equipped against normal problems. You're not gonna survive it. You must go for extraordinary level. It's greatness, the ingredient that is needed for a good life and not a survival life. There are people that have empires and then they are back to zero. There is never the time to stop completely and just say, I'm okay. There you have been big shortage of courage, decision, integrity, honor, resilience, tenacity, love. I'm nobody if I don't feel supported. And reminding myself that I can build or I can destroy. I want this relationship to be built brick by brick and go higher, higher and higher. And to understand that my loved ones are my allies and not my enemies. This is a concept in which there is no gray area. There are people with you and there are people against you. And you know who does what. There is no necessity for you to write down a tab for you to know in which team people play. In all this year, we met in Italy, we moved to the UK, we now live in Dubai. We survived to many external attacks. Losses, business failures, delusions, discrimination, menaces, and we survived because each time that one of these attacks arrived, we were not only complete entities with the strength of face them, but also we had a unique support in each other. This is really, guys, the basic reason for which you have no time to waste with small thinking and with small not important thing. Because by the day that you will think that it's time to push faster on the accelerator, it can be that too much time has gone by and your anger and hunger is not the best as before. One of my errors has been to think in singular person. I myself, Me? I wasn't emitting the same frequency he was on. And we worked hard to get aligned. But we are between the guilty couples that wasted time with stupid fights. And every time it happened, I went back repeating into my head, what's your why to live with this person, having chosen him for life, and what this guy gives you? A marvelous life. That was the self-reply I served myself every time that was about to counterattack with anger and give another go to have a fight. It's difficult to stay next to extraordinary people, but we are more scared of thinking of staying next to someone that is normal and average. The only thing that makes me feeling very fulfilled, is the protection I can offer, because my man will be always in the best conditions to fight, because has a support that doesn't know limits. And if I can't be an asset, I'll try to stay out of his way so he can sort what slows us down and what represents a problem. I need to be happy myself to be able to give happiness. I need to use my spare time to be happy and free. This is unconditional love, and I want exactly the same for the other person. For my husband, I want that he does anything he loves in his spare time. This is unconditional love for real. The fact that he is happy doing something, it's my happiness. Each of us has his own things. For me, it's discovering, fitness, traveling, meeting new people. And he has martial arts. No, I also have dancing. Oh, I have many. And he has martial arts, he has self-development and business hyperachiever. He's a business hyperachiever and stays and pass his days, for example, studying. Is he happy? Yes. So why should that affect me in any way? The problem is caused by the fact that one of you has no goals and the other has big goals. So the one that has no goals gets annoyed and gets bored and dormant. And instead the one that is trying to be productive needs to suffer this attitude of this person demanding attention when he should be busy creating success. And if you are the frustrated one because you have no goals, you are looking for something that your partner cannot give you. It's a hole, a gap that he cannot fill. You must do it yourself. And it's not honest. It's not right to do this to someone you love. It's psychologically violent. I do believe so. To steal their energy from something they really like to be toward you. It's selfish. And when people tell me we have problems because I don't have enough attention, I'm like, what do you mean by attention? Are you guys talking the same love language? No, we're sure about it. For example, in my case, I'm emotional. I'm deeply emotional. Like I cry for everything. And I see my life like a romance novel probably. And first dates instead, I had in front of me a guy that came out with the earphones in his ears. And I was like, is that like you're not listening to me? He was like, no, it's just I'm doing Chinese Mandarin immersion. That looked tough. It was like, how can I communicate with someone that is listening to something else? And instead I needed to flexible, because that language he learned gave us the chance to travel and to build more and more. And in the end, I was so happy to have left that little detail of, the earphone, to have everything else that he then provided for our family. There are little sharp emotions and feelings that will change your life forever. And you notice it when you feel fear, but you can't be scared. Because anything the person who lives and you share life with and lives with you, anything has a bigger purpose. If you don't see it, just go to them and ask them, what's the meaning of this? In the moment that we were winners, I was a international salsa champion, and he had big business, goals realized. We both were happy. We were both very candid and very attentive to each other. From that day onwards until today is like that. This is the real formula for happiness. None of us has asked the other to leave anything behind. We try to be as supportive as we can for what we understand of the other person's passion. And we know that it's the only solution. Because even if you don't have this for yourself, this big passion, these big goals, it's not like the other person will give it to you. It's a hole they can't fill. It's like having, dug in the soil and try to put water in it. The water won't stay there. It gets sucked because it's two different things. So the water, not being soil, it cannot fill the hole the soil has left. I love this metaphor. I love it. You cannot steal the other person's time, or you are setting them to fail, setting them for failure. You're not an asset, okay? At least don't be a weight. Don't be a dumbbell that pull him or her down towards the floor, towards the ground. Because that is an amazing way to try to lose someone. Amazing way to lose someone. There are people that are in most difficult situations, like not having time to dedicate to each other, not having capacity, because there are also people that are emotionally lacking. And they still figure it out. They keep working for each other. And in this relationship, the more complicated they are, the more you need to be all in. And to say, I play all in on you, and I bind my future with you. Every day you will build a little outcome of a final dream, of a final goal. Just let's play it. Let's play it. Let's support each other. Let's stop looking at small things that have no importance. I want the other person not to waste time to worry about me. On a negative note, of course. But not today, not tomorrow, until the end of our days together. We are team, even though we know what's our role. And we are proudly representing that role. Any role you pick and you have in a relationship has one scope and purpose, that is the one to upgrade, increase, shed light on the quality of the other person and protect their weaknesses. There are few people that are so capable of doing this on the long term, but you can be one of those. Not many are able. Normally, you are kind of advanced form of human being to have this vision in relationships that are so complex, But after you did your identity shift, you are able to do it. I am the most humble person to admit that I am nothing compared to Luca's qualities. And he is nothing compared to mine. We are unique and complementary. And 100% of our own best. And our duty is to protect each other no matter what. In the areas where we are weak. Because maybe we are weak in an area that the other person is stronger in. This is the bound for the war effort to go against the world and always win. No matter the opinions, no matter the requests, no matter circumstances, no matter what anyone would say. We're the strongest team for battle. I am his safety and security team. Because he needs to be able to go out there and shoot and be precise and be a machine for his goals, because he knows that if he falls back, there is someone who pushes him again in the battlefield. All these principles made me a happy wife, happy co-founder of a wealthy empire, and happy promoter of healthy relationships. I hope it's also beneficial for you, and I hope you enjoyed this time together. And believe me, start applying step by step what I just explained, and let me know if your relationships get better. All the best.